Persephone. Now, baby, you knows I don't tell you nothing unless I knew it to do you good. So listen to your Aunt Lola May now. Just 'cause they make it in a size 24 don't mean that 24's supposed to wear it. The crowd roared some more. Put your damn coat back on before somebody see your big ass, she reprimanded herself. Persephone bent slowly at the knees and gathered up her coat by the loop above the inside label. Then, with a swirl of leather, she put the coat back on, but not before she noticed the look of vindication on the face of her heckler down front. Getting back into character before belting back up her coat, Persephone began again. Sing me that song, sister. You know that one Lola loves so much. From that Aretha Franklin album. You knows which one that means. The one with that picture old Aretha Franklin on the cover. With just her head showed. And she got on a lime green feather collar with a black short straight wig on, and it's curled on the ends. Now it curled up. Her wig is turned up on the ends. Then when they had wigs, they ain't make them right. And you can't make it lay down on the back. It just curl up on the end. Then when did I say it was curled up on the ends, I blew another one. Oh, man, I meant to put that joke another kind of way. What was I thinking? Persephone panicked, but the crowd was still laughing along with her. She hadn't a clue as to why. Just sing the song, Mrs. Smartass, Aunt Lola May commanded. That was when Persephone stepped a few feet back from the microphone and launched to a soulful a cappella rendition of Natural Woman. The audience freaked out. They loved it and showed how they felt with cheering and applause. Then they quieted down to appreciate her song. You make me feel like a natural woman. Persephone concluded the song after the first chorus. Before she could catch her breath good, Aunt Lola May was back. Why you gots to make all them ugly faces when you're singing? Some people found this exceptionally funny. Persephone continued with 10 more minutes of rehearsed material, all greeted with a pleasant degree of response. Then finally she was finished. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making my very first time a memorable moment. Good night. Persephone quickly exited the stage through the dingy red velvet curtain she had entered from. She was pleased to hear the applause and whistles that followed her retreat. But she didn't try to fool herself. Maybe there wasn't as much enthusiasm from the audience as there had been for Patrick's performance, but they seemed to like her more than Mark, and a lot more than that tired-ass MC. She had the sense of mind to get her purse from where she had stashed it under one of the chairs in the far corner, and she was out of the place like she had stolen something. Persephone had long ago fashioned herself into the clown. It was the only way to put people at ease with her size. Persephone's logic was if they were busy laughing, then they'd be too busy to notice how fat she was. Of course, there had been the usual heaping of verbal abuse in grade school from her schoolmates, but for the most part, if Persephone had to fake eating a handful of dirt, she managed to get the children to laugh at her, and they'd soon forget to call her names. She was even invited to a few birthday parties because they liked her crazy personality. But the harshest and most harmful verbal abuse ever was delivered on a daily basis by someone Persephone had known all her life, her mother. If you don't get your lazy ass down these stairs right now and do these damn damn dishes, I'm gonna come up there and bang my foot in your big lazy ass. You hear me? Was how Persephone was reminded that it was her week to do the dinner dishes. And that had just been in the past week. She had strained the scales at 275 back in her high school days. Now she was almost proud of the fact that she was down to 220. 220 pounds on her 5'8" frame. A cinnamon brown complexioned Afro-American woman with a great head of hair that she pampered every Saturday morning at the beauty salon. A wonderful personality, and back in the day, a good paying job. She was never lacking for male companionship. Persephone could usually get a date. That wasn't a problem. Getting one with a car and some money was the hard thing. Persephone wasn't too picky, and back in the day, she had the cash. So she would tolerate the last-minute phone calls for Saturday night dates and having to borrow her father's work car, the brown Ford pickup truck, to go out in. She was just glad to be out with a man. Even if when he ran into his buddies in the mall, he'd act like he didn't know her, or the time this one guy she'd been seeing made her drop him off over at his other woman's house after they had left the movies. In her 30s and still living at home would be a fate worse than death itself for some people, but for Persephone, it meant a beautiful colonial home with the upstairs to call her own, a full bath, a newly 4.5 years old decorated bedroom, color cable TV, and good down-home cooking, all for free. They'd have to dynamite the average person out of a situation like that. Before Jasmine got married, Persephone had the church choir to make her life more complete. Between the different functions associated with the choir's recorded albums featuring their voices, their schedules remained busy. But after Jasmine moved to Los Angeles, things cooled down for Persephone, and she stopped going to church or choir rehearsals as often. She used the excuse that her job had her too busy. So when Jasmine finally divorced that creep and moved back to Detroit, her home, Persephone thought Jasmine would join back up with the choir and they just pick up where they left off. But Jasmine showed no interest when Persephone suggested to her that she come to the rehearsal or a Sunday 3 church fellowship. Persephone and her parents were so happy to have Jasmine back home that no one pressed her about anything. She could just lay up and do whatever she wanted to do when she wanted to do it. Then, after about the 2nd year, Mom started to grow impatient with Jasmine and her mood swings and would accuse Jasmine of using drugs. Jasmine and Persephone would spend hours in Jasmine's bedroom, now Persephone's bedroom, just laughing and talking all night long, and not until one of the two of them got so tired that they just stretched out where they were seated, and whether on the bed or on the floor, they would go to sleep. The two women had a chance to become close friends during the 3 years Jasmine was back. They shared secrets and memories that only two sisters could understand the significance of. The 18 months Jasmine had been in Germany was long enough time for the two sisters to be separated. Persephone had concluded it would be time to make the swoop to Germany soon, and Persephone wanted to be ready.